We did it. It's done. Wrapped up my first public launch in 18 months. Definitely my first launch with 3 kids, feeling the effects. And I live to tell the tale. Let's go. This is a launch recap style video. So I'm going to be gatekeeping free in this. I'm going to show you numbers, stats, all the messy, yucky stuff I learned along the way. Let's get into it. In this video, you're going to see kind of how the sausage gets made and what a launch copywriter and strategist does when she launches. I freak out. And hey, by the way, if we've not met, my name is Ashlyn Carter. I'm a conversion copywriter, brand and launch strategist. We have a boutique agency where we do this. We plan launches. We write beaucoup de copy. And I love the agency side, but we also have an education side because I firmly believe in equipping people to do this yourself. There's a lot of this that you do have to figure out. You have to get in the weeds and actually see how it works and understand things so you're outsourcing well. So that's kind of what I want to explain as well. Like I said, in this video, I'm going to get a little income reporty, give you the good, the bad, the ugly. If you're into stuff like that, hit the like button. That helps me know what to create more of and what not to do. By the way, as I get going with this video, if this is something that's interesting for you, I have a whole free training workshop, totally free, on demand, play it whenever. I talk about how to write your launch copy with AI. So if that's something that interests you, look down below. Voila. And let's jump straight into it. So what was I launching? Well, you may have heard me say before, launch is just a sexy internet word for marketing campaign. That's all it is. The product I was launching in this case study, Copywriting for Creatives, is my signature program. It's been around since 2016. It's like a grandmother now, but it works. It's got receipts, and I always get so excited to put it out there. Again, this is the 12th live launch that I've done of it. I took off those 18 months. I planned fully on launching it last year. This was not like some marketing ploy. I got pregnant and just didn't have the energy. I barely had the energy to do a live launch when I am fully functioning. And I did not last year. We also moved states. So yeah, the price point on the product is $9.97. We have a couple of payment plans. I'm going to get into that and kind of give you a breakdown of what payment plans did what. The launch vehicle, it was a webinar style launch. I'm going to give you my full thoughts on that. I'm going to talk to you about pre-launch backed up in front of that as well. The cart was 8 days. I opened on a Wednesday. I closed on a Thursday. That's pretty traditional for me. I'll always do an 8-day cart. And pre-launch looked like about 4 weeks backed up of kind of knocking over dominoes, doing all the things that I teach inside Prime to Launch. And then I started talking up the webinar itself, the hype piece. That's what I call, I'll get into that. I started talking about the webinar 10 days before. All right. That's the 411. Let's get into the learnings. Number 1, the live launch model still works. It is the hook you have to be creative about, the bait in the water. Okay, all of these people love to say webinars don't work anymore. They don't work. Step inside my office. Yes, they do. They work. There's a lot of bad webinars out there though. So just don't have a bad webinar. Here's what you have to do though to catch attention. And I talked about this earlier this year. I did a video. I said my friend texted me. She was saying, what's trendy in launches right now? The same stuff still works. The vehicles still work. You have to get creative about the positioning of it, the hook, the angle, the why. Your audience wants to see you as a brand change and evolve and grow. And so if you're doing the same kit and caboodle all over again, it kind of gets boring. They want to grow with you. It's kind of exciting when you start following a brand early on. You get to see them change. You're like dance momming them, and it's so exciting. So your audience wants you to have that too. And then obviously the new stuff is what gets new eyeballs to say, hey, what's she doing over there? I'm going to talk more about how I kind of changed up the hook of this launch, but back to why I live launched. I believe firmly in experimenting with both evergreen launches and live launches, and here's why. You cannot bottle or manufacture the energy of a live launch. It's just fun. People want to be a part of it. They want to see it go down in real time. There's pros and cons to both, but yeah, there's that natural tension and energy every time you launch something. You're able to authentically, with integrity, say things like new, never been done before. I don't know what I'm doing right now. This is kind of crazy. Like when all of those things are authentically coming out of your mouth, it's so fun. And it feels good too. I can only do about 3 to 4 live launches a year. That includes Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So I would say I really only do 3 live launches a year. And that is it. Done, dusted, go home. I don't have the energy to maintain more than that. I teach this system, by the way, inside Primed to Launch. I teach how to plan out your 4 quarterly champagne campaigns a year. That does not mean you're only selling during those times. You're not only selling 4 times a year, but these are your big, like, go big, go home. Everyone and their mother knows that you're putting something out there. That's what a live launch is. I also heard my friend Kristen say one time, evergreen pays the bills, launches are where you get the profit, and I concur. It took me a few years, but after I've seen that for myself to be totally true. So yeah, launches can be your big profit support. Okay, learning number 2, and I really wanted to put my next learning, I wanted to talk about it, but I'm going to give you some numbers because I think it'll be juicy and interesting, but hang on with me because the third learning that I'm going to bring up is like the price of the video itself that you're watching. Like it is the magnum opus of this whole video. So stay with me. But number 2, I want to take you behind the scenes of the webinar. You may have heard me say this. My Prime to Launch students know your hype piece is just your chance to get up to the mic and say what you offer and how it can help people. It can look a million different ways. You can do a giveaway, a challenge, a summit, a live. You're just having at least one point where you're looking at your audience and saying, hey, I made this. I think it's cool. Here's why you should get it. A webinar is a great way to do that. That's what I chose for this. So here's what our reg page looked like. This reg page at its highest was converting at 42.42%. Industry standards about 20. So I was really proud of myself for that. But yeah, I think a teardown on why it worked. First of all, it was ultra clear about what you're going to get, what you're going to walk away with. Gone are the days of being able to kind of give like mamby-pamby unspecific takeaways. No, you have to be clear. Our client Shannon McKinstry has talked about this. Remember back in like early 2020 days when you could go on Instagram and say like, here are 10 ways to stop X, Y, and Z. And she was saying like, we don't have time for that anymore. Maybe in 2020 when we were all sitting on our couches, we had time for all of that. We don't. Cut to the chase now. I think this webinar reg page worked for the same reasons. It was very ultra specific about what you were going to get. I didn't split test any elements. If I did, I might be interested in shifting the hero section a little bit and also playing around with a long form webinar reg page and a shorter form landing page. Once we started sending cold traffic to the page, so remember cold traffic's going to bring it down a little bit. Obviously the conversion rate's going to be higher with warm leads, hot list. It fell to around 31%, which I still love. Here's a pie graph of the traffic sources that we're pulling into the webinar to the hype piece. Pretty clean split there. I actually spent about 1/3 of what I usually spend on ads. No real reason except I hadn't launched in 18 months and I didn't have just these cash reserves that I have in the years past. So I wanted to see what I could do with a really well-served email list and I did okay. Overall registrations were right around 6,000. So that means my launch list, which is what you're building for. You're getting hype piece registrations, you're getting people to raise your hand because that is your launch list. These are the eyeballs. More on that in the next tip I'm going to give you. I'll go ahead and tell you. I was able to convert about 6% of that entire launch list into sales, and that's what we're going for. That is a fantastic launch conversion rate. I usually plan when I'm making my estimates, I go conservatively and I usually say about 3%. What do I have to build to get 3%? So I'm getting a little ahead of myself on numbers, but this I just wanted to show you, okay, we have the webinar. This is the hype piece. That's what I talked about. I went themey. I went with this like 90s vibe just for fun. I probably could have gone even more kitschy and I didn't, but I think it was fun and it got attention. 2 more points on the webinar before I move on. The first one is I did something different this time and I wrote all the landing page copy before I built the deck. That totally freaked me out, but I wanted to try it and I liked it. It stressed me freaking the heck out, but it made me really focus on what are the takeaways? How can I give people really tactical things that I can say they'll walk away from? So it's kind of testing like the MVP of the webinar itself, but this did mean I was building. So I did a webinar on Wednesday, literally all day Tuesday I was working on it until late in the night. I probably slept like 3 hours that night because I was still working on the deck and building it out. It is what it is. The second thing I wanted to say before I move on is when you do any kind of hype piece, if you're having multiple time slots, more people just statistically, and I say this after we've worked with so many launch clients, statistically most people are going to sign up for your first one. I had one client text me during webinars and she said, are you doing all 4 of them live? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I know if I can get people on there live, I can communicate with them, I can talk to them, I'll do it. And I know me, my first webinar stinks. Every time it stinks. It's hard. I don't have my timing down. I'm still kind of like, just like getting my training wheels going at a normal pace. I mean, the first one you always have so many people sign up for it and then not as much as the regular ones when you get good, but that's okay. It's just how it works. But yeah, that's another reason I always try to give myself multiple times to try to pitch or communicate something because I'll usually do my best the second or the third time. Okay, that's it. Ask me any other questions below about webinars or hype pieces. Your takeaway or lesson from this is go hard on your hype piece. That is your chance to get in front of your people and to serve them and communicate with them. Hey, I made something cool. You may like it. Number 3, this is the one I said is so important. I will die on this hill. Your pre-launch is more important than your launch. I said it. Your pre-launch determines your launch. The cork will only shoot as far as you shake up the champagne bottle before a launch. And a lot of people swing open doors to something without ever priming, giving people little seeds, little nuggets, knocking over the dominoes. I believe this so firmly. I made a course on it back in 2020 and I still have it and I love it and I use it. Prime to launch, I mentioned it earlier, because you have to prime your audience to be ready to buy. The better you prime them, the better your launch goes. And I promise you, I did not have to hustle my tail off during the cart open days because I built the launch list up so much that I let the numbers trickle down, trickle down, trickle down, trickle down. They fell exactly where I wanted them to because I worked so hard on the front end of it. Here's what pre-launch looks like for me. So in Prime to Launch, I usually teach backing up 6 to 8 weeks, which I know is a lot, but again, this is why I say I can only do this about 3 times a year. I only backed up about 4 weeks this time because we launched our new website. I sent out my first email on April the 10th, and that was it's go time. I gotta get this out. We gotta launch CFC. So I only had 4 weeks, but it worked because I was then able to kind of use my own rebrand of messaging, my own rebrand as a hook for the launch, and that worked really well. I got some good feedback on that. Pre-launch also looks like the most list building. So you'll do the majority of your list building during a pre-launch era, not during the sales promo period itself. So I had list building ads running for months in advance. Those were really the big pre-launch things. I didn't put a new angle out there. I just worked on serving huge those 4 weeks, and then 10 days before cart opens, starting to drive to that hype piece to the webinar. Okay, let's get to it. Sales reporting. I'm going to say this part of the video, fully understanding that you understand as a business owner, P&Ls and revenue is not profit, all that kind of stuff. It takes in my business, I don't think I've ever said this too recently, it takes us about $34,000 a month to keep the lights on, me to pay salaries, all of our tech, everything like that. So yeah. Total purchases, we had 341 purchases. Like I said, second biggest launch ever. I think I've just decided that we will not be able to top 2020 sales. 2020 was just a nuts year for us. I think thousands of people were moving into working for themselves, and that's the people I serve. So great year, but I was really proud of this. One thing I was stoked about, and this will be interesting to you if you've got any kind of launch coming up, is we actually had majority full pay, which was wild. I do work hard on stacking the full pay set. One thing, if you're not aware, you haven't done launches before, you lose as a business a chunk of change on payment plans. Credit card fees are about 3%. I looked and we will pay about $41,000 in credit card fees for this launch. Bye, out the window. You just know that you'll not recoup 100% of payment plans. It's just how it works, but it's an incredible way to serve people. I buy things on payment plans. So there's gives and takes, right? But yeah, I thought that was really interesting that despite all of the messages and what we hear about the economy, that we had majority full pay, which was pretty cool. We also did for the first time ever a licensing program. So I have been asked for years to license copywriting for creatives, to license our templates, and honestly I've just not put my big girl panties on because I thought that sounds terrifying. That involves lawyers, that's legalese. Scares me, but I figured it out this time. So we had a licensing service as well. I think that worked well to anchor the regular price point. We did have people purchase the service provider license. I think it helped people understand too, just as there's more and more courses, that this is somebody's intellectual property. And if you want to apply it to your clients, then you probably need to make sure that that's okay with them or inquire about a license. Okay, again, full launch list size ended up just shy of 6,000. I'm going to talk about emails next. All the noise is going out to about 6,000 people, converted about 6% of them. The sales page, I was so excited about this. The sales page converted at 8.8%. Really proud of that. Average sales page conversion rate could be anywhere from 2 to 5%. I do sales pages. If I got 5%, I would be like the kid that got an A and cried. I would be mad because this is what I do. Dang it, I gotta be able to be good at this. So I'm focusing on those 8 days of driving all 6,000. I built that list up to 6,000. I am focused on driving those eyeballs to the sales page, to the sales page, to the sales page, to the sales page. That becomes the game. Okay, last 2 things. I want to talk about my email strategy, but before I do that, I want to talk about the mindset of the launch itself. Our client, Julie, always says, your launch will feel like a failure on day 3, and that's true. You will see a spike on day 1, and then it just lulls. It lulls, it hangs out, and you'll see 30 to 50% of sales again at the end, if you've done it right. It takes so much hype and noise and push and energy to hit that first wall that the lull, I've decided it doesn't matter. My first launch ever of copywriting for creatives, I think I sold 36 seats, and it doesn't matter that or 341 or the 375 I hit in 2020. It doesn't matter. We hit our goal of the whole launch on Saturday, which was day 4, I think it's emotionally exhausting. You have tap danced, you have talked, you poured your heart out and like been in the arena for not just the amount of days that the card is open, but all the pre-launch before. Remember, you're like, that is where all of your energy is going. Your energy does not start when the launch starts. Your energy starts far more above that. So I think you just hit a natural lull where you're like, oh my gosh, like you're looking up and you're like on mile 4 of the marathon. You've got so much longer to go. And so that happened to me. I don't think there's any way around it. It just is kind of going to happen. You just know it and you work through it and you're going to be okay. So that brings me to the last piece where I was talking about your email strategy. Your email is kind of like breadcrumbing along all the way. It's a little engine that could. It's helping push people to that sales page. I want you to see, and I'll put it down the side, I showed this to our members inside my business coaching membership, the collective, and they enjoyed seeing it. These are all of the emails that I sent. Actually, if it has an X beside it, we didn't send it out and I wanted to. These are all the emails that we sent to the launch list during the campaign. It's a lot. It's why you build your list. I also am a big believer of giving an opt-out at the bottom and the top, but it's worth it. This is how you help people make a good decision, how you serve them. I think if you come at every single email too, like I always have the bones of these in place. By the way, comment below, would it be helpful for you if I talk more about all of the emails that we send in a launch? You're really trying to help people, give them the best information possible that you can to help them decide if this is for them or not. If you come at writing emails like that, it's actually really fun. It's fun to reply back to people. So yeah, let me know if you want me to deep dive on that. Okay, there's the launch recap. I'm so glad it's over. I put it off. I probably would have kicked this down to July if left to my own devices, but I think I just realized like I have to put it out there. I've talked about it before, that Reid Hoffman quote, if you launched it perfect, you launched it too late. The sales page, we put up the sales page. I was like, there's 15 canvases that I want to put up that are not ready yet. I didn't even have the bonuses on the sales page. I just didn't have time to get it up. So there's so many things that I wanted to do that I didn't do, but you should kind of have to be like, you know what, I'm going for it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to launch it, build my wings on the way down. And yeah, I'll say this too. I got 3 little snarky comments in the video ask on the sales page. And so I want to say this for a couple of reasons. One, remember I said I'm trying to drive about 6,000 eyeballs on the sales page. If only 3 comments, if you're worried about putting yourself out there because of what people are going to say, it's probably not a ton of people that are going to say something. But then the other thing, y'all, every time a comment comes in, and they were all, one said something like, read the room, why are you charging something like this in this day and age? And then another said something like, you're pitching so hard, my credit card is like crawling back up in my wallet. Here's what I want to say. The people that are out there in their arena doing the thing, blood, sweat, and tears, figuring out small business, guess what? They're not on pages commenting things like that. So the people that are usually commenting things like this, they're going to say it anyway. Sometimes people just aren't used to the noise of a live launch. It's fine. They'll get over it. They'll learn that that's kind of how marketing on the internet goes. Heck, I've got an email in my inbox every day from Ballard Designs and Beaufort Bonnet selling something. So just shoot your shot. Do it. If you know that you have something that will help serve your people, launch it. Okay, this video is all over the place. I hope that was helpful though. I just wanted to take you behind the scenes, and I think my eyes are still even bloodshot a little bit from launch, but I'm gonna get back on the horse. First launch, 3 kids, did it. I think I can maybe hack this as a mom of 3. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in Prime to Launch, look down below. It's $97. I didn't even say that. It's not much. Also, while you're down there, I have a video all about how to write your launch with AI. Make sure you see that too. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.